Welcome back to another episode of Android application development tutorial. In today's episode we are going to learn about how to add a multi-choice items into a dialog in an Android application. So in the previous part we already learned about how to add a single choice item into a dialog. You can see it here. So if you use the single choice items, then you can select only one item at a time from the dialog. That means the items are available with some radio button so that you can select only one item at a time. And here I'm going to show you how to add a multi-choice items into a dialog. So if you're using the multi-choice items, the items are appear with some checkboxes. That means you can select more than one item at a time. So here I'm going to demonstrate how to add a multi-choice items into a dialog. So here I'm going to use the same example that is used for the previous part. So for creating the dialog, here I'm going to create a new class on the package. So right click the package and create the new class options, and here I'm going to create a new class with the name multi-selection demo. Okay, and browse for the superclass. Here I'm going to display the dialog using dialog fragment. So search for the dialog fragment, use this Android library and click OK and click finish. Now we got a class that extends the dialog fragment. Okay, now for creating the dialog you need to override some method. So here I'm going to override the method on create dialog. So you can create the dialog in this method. So first we need an object of builder. It is the recommended way of creating dialogs in Android. So here I'm going to create an alert dialog. So here I'm going to create an object of builder corresponding to alert dialog. So alert dialog.builder, and name the object as builder equal to new alert dialog.builder and use the constructor. Okay, so for getting the context object, use this method get activity. Okay, now we have to set some properties of the dialog using the builder object. So first here I'm going to add some title for the dialog. So builder dot set title, provide some title, choose color. Okay, now we have to add the multi-choice items into the dialog using the builder object. So we need some items. So here instead of using the character sequence, here I'm going to use the array resource. So for we need to create some array resource. So go to the values folder, right click the values folder and create a new Android XML file and name the file as array. And here we got the resource, here we got the root element resource and click finish. Okay, now here we got a new XML file in values folder and add the tag string array, put a name for it. I name it as my color selection. Okay, and now you need to add some items into the string array. So use the tag item. Here I'm going to add some color names. Red, black, blue, and one more color item, and the third color is green. Yeah, fourth color is green. Okay, I just create an array XML file and add a string array into it, and I put 4 items into the string array. Okay, now go to the class multi-selection demo, and now here I'm going to add the multi-choice items. So use this method set multi-choice items, and here we use the array resource instead of character sequence. So use the second constructor. Okay, and provide the ID for the resource. So r dot array dot our array name is my color selection. Okay, now pass null for the second arguments. If you pass null, no items are selected on the list. Okay, now finally you have to provide the on click listener, new dialog interface dot on multi choice click listener. Use that one. So if the user select an item on the list, then this method will invoke. So this method will invoke if the user select an item on the array. Here you have to add some package, so import the needed packages. Okay, so now we have to save the selection which is done by the user. For that, here I'm going to add an array list. So array list, it is handled with a string list equal to new array list. Okay, now we have to get all the string values from the array resource. For that, here I'm going to add a string array final string items equal to get resources dot get string array and provide the resource name r dot array dot our array name is my color selection. Okay, now we got all the items available on the array is available on the string items. What happens here? Sorry, it is not string builder, it is string. Okay, so when user select an item on the list, this method will invoke. So we have to check it out. If the user select an item from the list, this boolean is checked will return true. So if is checked, so we have to save the selection done by the user. So here I am going to add the name of the selected item into the list. So list dot add, and here we got the selected item index from the variable which. So we have to get the string from the we have to get the item from the string array. That array name is items. So items of index which. Okay, so we just add the selected items into the array list. So if user unselect the item, we have to remove that particular item from the list. So here I add another condition, else if that particular item is already available on the list, we have to remove it. So else if list dot contains items of index which. Okay, now we have to remove that particular item from the list. So list dot remove items of index, so which. Okay, so whenever user select an item on the list, this method will invoke and the selected item is added into the list. So if user unselect an item, this else if will execute and that particular item is removed from the list. Okay, and finally here I am going to add a positive button, set positive button with the title. Okay, and here I need to add the listener. Here you need a semicolon, and here you have to add some packages, so add the needed packages. So whenever user click the OK button, we have to display the selection done by the user. So for that, we have to display all the items available on the array list. So I just declare a string here, string selections equal to, just put some values, default values. Okay, here I'm going to use a for each loop, string ms colon, we have to iterate the list. So we have to add each items available on the list into variable selections. So selections equal to selections plus, we have to put a new line after each items. So put a slash n, and finally we have to add that particular items from the array, from the list. Okay, and finally here I'm going to print all the selection using a toast dot make text get activity color selection. Here display the color selection. We got all the selections on variable selections. Okay, and finally provide a duration for the toast dot make it short, and finally make the toast visible using show method. Okay, now we complete the coding, and finally we have to create the dialog. So return builder dot create. Okay, so for adding a multi-choice list into a dialog, you have to use the method set multi-choice items. So here I use a array resource instead of char sequence. So you have to pass it as the first argument in method set multi-choice items, and if user select an item, this method will invoke, and I save the selection done by the user in array list, and if user unselect an item from the list, I just remove that item from the list. And finally when user click the positive button, I just display the selection using a toast. Okay, now we have to call this class. For that, go to main activity. So on the main activity, on the layout file, we already add a button, so I have to change the text of the button. Select color. Okay, change it into select color. Now go to main activity. So this is the here we just call the class that is used for displaying a single selection item. So I just comment all these things, and now I'm going to create an object of the class multi-selection demo. So multi-selection demo equal to new multi-selection demo. Okay, now we have to call the show method to display the dialog. So demo dot show, first pass the get support fragment manager and put a tag multi demo. Okay, so when user click the button, the dialog that contain the multi selection items appear. Okay, now we can run the application. So I select the project and click the run button. Now open your emulator. Okay, and I click the button. Now we got the dialog that contain a list with some checkboxes. So I just made a selection. I select the red color and click OK, and the color selection is red, and I again click the button. Now I made a selection and I made another selection. Now there are two selections, red and green. Now click OK. Now the selection is red and green. Okay, now I made some selections, and after that I remove a selection. So I just remove the black color. Now the selections are red and blue, and click OK. Now color selection is red and blue. Guys, I hope you enjoy this video. If you like this video, please subscribe my channel for getting more video updates. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.